All right, Crockett36 here to do a continuation of my video on logistics, and I just wanted to show you that there's obviously a backlash from people saying, "Hey, look, air bases are too expensive." Now, I agree with that air bases are too expensive. Okay, so we're talking about trying to get American fighters to key locations like Calcutta or to Moscow as quickly as possible. Now, I will say, and I want to emphasize that I've read some stuff. Joel, actually, Gargantua, mentioned it in his Decoding Axis and Allies, that the faster, there's a sense of the Axis gaining momentum and building and succeeding. And the more you can trip that up and limit that, it's almost like you're just trying to trip them up and slow them down. So, the fact that this has to happen right away or soon is not lost to me. So let's say, let me just show you that an American fighter coming from, I'm going to take this guy as the example American fighter. Okay, the American fighter right here. He comes from the East Coast. Now he can go 1, 2, 3, 4, land on a carrier in 91, and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, land on a carrier in 99, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, and he's in Moscow. Okay, so you could do this with carriers. Now, obviously, this carrier, not absurd to build a carrier out of New Brunswick, maybe turn 2 if it was, they held off on there was no J1 or G1. So not absurd that you could get a carrier here. This carrier is already built. Obviously, you got Taranto, but I'm just letting you know, or even a carrier built here that goes to here, turn. You need everything. I'm assuming everything goes into UK turn 1, but maybe turn 2 you could get a carrier built here, and goes up here, and then goes to their turn 3 or turn 4, which would be when the American fighters would be passing through. Just an idea. I just want to talk about mobility and logistics. Again, carriers, planes coming from western United States, 1, 2, 3, 4, onto a carrier, Johnson Islands. That's really possible. And then again, 1, 2, 3. You need to be this close, and that's a problem. Obviously, that's a huge problem. Is there anything else you could do? So let's count backward. On the fly here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So he could be here, 56. 1, 2, 3, and he could be in 55. So it'd have to be 45, 55, 56 in order for a carrier, American fighter, fly off a carrier. Could American carrier there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So that wouldn't do. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would work. 56 will work. 55 will work. 45 will work. Okay. Just to let you know that this could be here. That would be fine. This could be here. That'd be fine. As long as the carrier was within one of these 3 turns, the fighters can reach Calcutta, which can make a big difference. Now, the other thing I wanted to say about logistics is that these babies right here, carrier, I just put on the board, they are like chemo, and so isn't, let me see if I can find one. Don't seem to have one on the board. Okay, here's one, right there, or nope, that's it. Transport. Anzac Transport. Transports and carriers are like chemotherapy. You need it to survive, but it's poison. Too much poison is going to kill you. Too little is not going to save you. Okay, so too many transports will kill you because you're spending money on building infrastructure. So, for instance, you start off the game with 52, then you jump up to 72. Well, if you're using that monetary advantage to buy transports. So you're using $20, basically almost three transports. If you're using that all to buy transports, you're just keeping even, and then you've got to transport them across, and you figure that you're going to actually attack a territory with ones, and he's rolling at twos defending. And of course, you can quickly see how that does not work with the pips. It doesn't work with the economy. And of course, Germany's going to quickly, or could go beyond 52 pretty quickly. And they don't have to buy the ships. They don't have to buy the infrastructure. They don't have to buy the aircraft carriers. So there's a lot to go into that. These are poisonous to us, and yet we need them. It's that. So I don't know the solution to that. One of the things I try to do, and I'll just throw this out to you, is I try to do, let's say that Germany produces 10 men in Western Germany to defend Germany. Okay? So then how many airplanes would it take, and how many men would it take to eliminate that force, to be a meat grinder? Not to succeed. I mean, you're going maybe take it, but maybe just eliminate it. Because if the East can be a meat grinder, then maybe if you're meat grinding in the West, obviously at that point in time, Germany's losing. If he's losing 10 troops a turn and you're losing, I don't know, 5. Let's say that you have 3 carriers, 6 planes, and you've got 4 infantry. Maybe you've got 8 planes and 4 infantry. In one round of combat, he wipes your troops out. Maybe he gets a plane or 2, but maybe you wipe all of his troops out. And so the math works for you, as opposed to he produces 10, you produce 10, you attack at ones, he defends at twos. That doesn't work, obviously. Obviously, you throw in there anti-aircraft. That's an X factor, huge X factor, because they can vary so much. But you're trying to make it so this side is a meat grinder. Not so much that you are gaining territory, although obviously you hope at the end of all things that as he's ground down by the Russians and you grind him down in the West, it becomes even. My real point being that these are to be seen as poison. And like I said, chemo, too much will kill you just like the disease will. It's poison. Too little, and all of a sudden. So, I mean, that one of the reasons why I talk about this getting airplanes to Moscow or to Calcutta is not to win, is to keep the game going on longer, which, the conventional wisdom has always been longer games favor the Allies. Not necessarily the case. It all depends on the economics. If you can put the economics in your favor, longer games favor you. If the economics are in the Axis favor, longer games favor them, even if it's $1 or $2, because again, you're having to buy these bad boys, and these bad boys are eventually going to kill you. So keep an eye on that. What AAA calls the total unit value, but even more important, I think, the number of pieces on the board, and particularly on the board in Eurasia, and if Africa is hot, then Africa too. But that will determine a lot. And then, not only we talk about infrastructure, we talk about waves of infrastructure. If the infrastructure is just a one-time deal, it's not infrastructure. It's not a logistics. It's an adventure. It's an expedition. Okay, that's different than a logistics. Logistics is a continuation. That's going to win you the game. And an adventure or an expedition is either going to, the Germans have a great example where at some point in time they should be forced by the Allies to stop resupplying the front. At that point, it's an expedition, not logistics. Hopefully then you've turned it around, you've cut the umbilical cord. He's got to survive with what he has against the Russians, and you and him are now in a death struggle, as well as the Russians are in a death struggle. That's what can turn the tide in the East. Logistics, not expeditions, not adventures. The right balance. I'm going to do another video, hopefully, where I roll some dice, and it's going to be anecdotal, but I'm going to be trying to tell you the right combination of troops, because the combinations can make a heck of a lot of difference as you fight battles, particularly amphibious battles, particularly when you have bombardments and when you have planes involved. All right, Crockett 36 out. Logistics number 2. You don't have to use air bases. You can use carriers. Carriers it's a little more likely, I think, that you could keep the carriers going over here. Whereas this one would be, that'd be a lot of, and this is great, by the way. If you did place a carrier here or a carrier here, that means he has to not just take Borneo, Celebes, Java, Sumatra, but he's also got to take out your Navy, which draws him away from Calcutta. So even that situation where you invest, and then get some troops over there is going to draw his attention away from where he wants to go. Here, maybe here. Now he's going down here. And I always encourage Australia. Never seen it succeed. Actually, I don't think I ever have seen it succeed or add to the Japanese victory. Okay, all right, Crockett 36 at 11:31. Out. Happy New Year.